journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we are so glad that you are with us. If you're visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book. And if you would like to join us for coffee hour downstairs, and if you would like, feel free to take a green mug so that we can be sure to greet you. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, remember to wear your name tag with your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, see us back at the visitors table. I am Linda Rio. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm pleased to be with you today as your worship associate. Our music today is being provided by Jamie Passman. We'd like to thank you for placing your phone in worship mode, but please do feel free to check in on social media and let folks know that you are worshiping here with us today. Child care for children under the age of 5 is available in our playroom located in the lower level of the RE building across the alley. Youngsters are welcome to join the play group when the older children are sung out to RE. But please know that all ages may remain in the service, as all voices are welcome here. There's always a lot going on around our church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday. There's also printed copies available downstairs. If you'd like to receive News and Notes, stop by our welcome table back in the living room, and we will get you on the list. Reverend Beth now has some announcements.
Thank you, Linda, and good morning, everyone. I'll add my welcome to that of Linda's. I'm the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. My pronouns are she and they, and I'm so glad you're here. There's a wonderful song that I want to teach us. I'm not going to sing it, but it goes, I'm so glad you're here. We've done it once. So think of me singing it enthusiastically and telling you, I'm so glad you're here, and we're so glad you're here this morning. The one announcement that I want to make is that our annual auction is Saturday. And we have it's our annual fundraiser. For those of you who are new, Unitarian Universalist congregations are self-supporting. We're a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, but we provide, our members and our renters provide all that we need for our budget in order for us to continue to live our values, to live into the prophetic possibilities of Unitarian Universalism, to nurture our spirits, and to help heal the world. And so our annual auction is a fundraiser. I know that's really corny, and I couldn't help but say it. The theme is Mission Possible, so you can expect some spy-related things. We're going to have a band. Tony Metter's band is playing, Shadowlands. Lots of great opportunities to not only buy items and events, so many beautiful dinners and opportunities to connect throughout the year. People sometimes just bring their calendar and say, okay, this is how I'm going to fill my calendar for the year, as far as some social events, but also just wonderful opportunity to be together. And you know what? If y'all are not in a position to bid on anything for the auction, just come. You can just buy a ticket. Just buying a ticket is a great opportunity to, support the church. So no worries with that, but we do hope that you will join us. And right now we don't need any more donations. Jane mentioned in our newcomers breakfast this morning, having looked at the catalog and seeing all the great things that are offered. So just see us downstairs in the social hall, which is called the Alice Warren Room. How does that sound? Does it sound good? Perfect. I'm going to invite you to breathe with me for a moment. Let's arrive. Coming into this space, into this time, into the community. Those of you who have been here for decades, those of you who are coming for the first time, and all of us in between. We come. If you do anything on a Sunday morning, you did get an extra hour. But you could have done something else with that extra hour, but you came. Because there is, for each of us, in the longing of the human heart, to connect, to make meaning, to gather. And so it is good to be together. Our theme this month, we use monthly themes throughout the year, is the gift of generosity. I experienced generosity, I don't know, at least 3 times walking through here today. Help with setting up, wonderful dinner, breakfast, sweeping leaves outside the door so no one slips. These are just acts of generosity. We'll be talking about how generosity transforms us and how we transform generosity. I'm going to call us into worship this morning with words by Donna Markova. May you live a loved life. May you never diminish your mind or limit your heart. May you stand calm in a wide moment between the sky that lifts you and gravity that grounds you. May you let loving unfurl you, then give you away. May you let loving unfurl you and then give you away. May you remember you are nest, harbor, garden. May you pass life forward, so that which come before you and that which grows next to you goes on to those who will follow you. It is good to be together. Take another breath. That reading was about expansiveness and heart and connecting. And our opening song, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, is truly about opening our hearts, being present to what is. So I invite you to rise, embody your spirit, and then sing with me.
The chalice of our being, Richard Gilbert. Each morning we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and give back. Each morning we hold out our chalice of being to be filled with the graces of life that abound, air to breathe, food to eat, companions to love, beauty to behold, art to cherish, causes to serve. They come in ritual possession, these gifts of life. Whether we deserve them, we cannot know or say, for they are poured out for us. Our task is to hold steady the chalice of our being. We carry the chalice with us as we go, either meandering aimlessly or with destination in our eye. We share its abundance if we have any sense, reminding others as we remind ourselves of the contents of the chalice we don't deserve. Water from living streams fills it if only we hold it out faithfully. We give back, if we can, something of ourselves, some love, some beauty, some grace, some gift. We give back in gratitude if we can, something like what is poured into our chalice of being, for those who abide with us and will follow. Each morning we hold out the candle, the chalice of our being, to receive, to carry, to give back.
Go ahead and invite Pam Fodor, our Director of Programs, to come up for our Time for All Ages. Can I call the kids up? Sure. Hey, y'all, want to come on up? I did it.
So our theme is the gift of generosity, and it brought to mind this song that we sing quite often in service, and this is a wonderful video of it that was made during COVID, and it has sign language with it. So I invite you to participate however you would like, with the sign language, with the singing, with speaking, whatever calls you.
Hi, it's so nice to see everyone. I'm going to take a few minutes just to teach you some sign language from the song From You I Receive. The first line is, from you I receive, and the word is receive. From you I receive. The second line is, to you I give, and the word is give. To you I give. The third line is, together we share, and the word is share. Together we share. And the last line is, and from this we live, and the word is live. From this we live. So the whole song is, from you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Thank you. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. Together we share, and from this we live.
From you I receive, to you
Our message today of transforming generosity is the perfect lens as we think about ways in which our generosity can transform this church community and all who gather here. It's also a reminder to think about ways in which this church has been generous to us by giving us a place of peace, of people with shared values, of support for our work toward justice, of the religious education of our children, and of holding us up when we need support and strength. For all the ways this church is generous to us, let us in turn be generous to it. Please join in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with people around us, and with all the world. We now very gratefully receive your contribution. Thank you in advance for your generosity.
I saw other mouths move as you sang that song. All my love, and thank you so much, Jeannie. I'm going to invite us to sing again, From You I Receive, to You I Give. And as you do that, as we think about the gifts that we've been given, the gifts that we've received, what it means to be in community, I invite you to sing it with me and Jamie. We're just going to do it one time because we've sung it already. But what I invite you to do, if you're comfortable, no pressure, introverts, is just kind of look around. And if you're inclined, to sing it to one another. So will you sing with me? Invite us to take another breath and to pause again. We've had songs and words, and now let's breathe again and just arrive to this time of meditation, this time of going inward, leading into a time of sharing with one another. All the holy nudges we need by the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. Spirit of life, eternal beloved of mystery and grace, receive our prayer. We come before that which is greater than ourselves in gratitude for the fullness of our lives, for the anguish and grief that informs our mission to side with love again and again, for the suffering and disenfranchisement of our people that foments our passion for justice and wholeness, for complex lives, for hard lives, real, full, overwhelmed, we give thanks for the blessings that we've been given, the reassurance of community, the steady warmth of hope, the unwavering faith that there will be better days. We give thanks and seek your grace. Spirit of love, come alongside all with the holy nudges we need. so that we may live in such a way that we celebrate the blessings of all that we've been given, so that we may be blessings to the world, and so that we may celebrate all of the blessings that are with us. We celebrate Lexi, who is joining us today, our newborn, kind of new. Yes, yes. All voices are welcome. And this is the time in our service where I invite you to connect with whatever holy nudge you're receiving at this time. Is there a nudge that's opening you to your joys, to your sorrows, to that which is on your heart? And maybe you have there's a nudge to share with the community in our ritual of joys and sorrows, where we drop a pebble in the water. Each one is unique, signifying that uniqueness that you each are. And then they're dropped in a common bowl of water to be held in the container, to be washed, cleansed, held, and seen and known. So if you have a joy or a sorrow, something that's on your heart today, I just invite you to come on forward and drop a pebble, and I will meet you there. Just a reminder that pebbles can be dropped in silence as well.
I'm Carol, and I put in 2 pebbles today. Last Sunday, when I went to my car, I had a flat tire. I came to the door downstairs, and coming out was Tony, having to leave his mother, Harriet, in there while he came out and changed my tire. The second one is for my friend Lorraine, the mother of Susan, who's a member of our church. But I've known Lorraine for many, many years, and she will be 99 on Wednesday.
Good morning, all. I'm Jonathan. First of all, I want to thank Jamie for some beautiful Bach as our background music. Some of you know in my earlier career, I was very heavily involved in plan giving and building endowments. And of course, when you do things like that, you also have special events that boost your activity. So I know, I have some idea what's involved in putting a special event together. And I know that we have one coming up this coming week. And I hope as many of you as possible can attend. Thanks. Yes.
I'm Jay Van Cura, and 1 year ago my wife left us.
For those joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Holy One moving in, through, and among us. You are as close as our breath. You are our breath. With each breath that we are given, for each that we take, may we hold all that is in our hearts, knowing that there is a love holding us. There is a love holding you. For losses and celebrations, for hopes and generosity, for dreams, for possibilities, we pray. We pray also for the people of Palestine in Gaza, that there may be a ceasefire, that there may be no more killing, and that there may be a way and a pathway to peace. May it be so. Breath. Anyone who's been in a service with me or in a social justice action or in any sort of a place where I get to pray, what do I usually say? Breathe with me. Because, beloved, sometimes we are so in our heads, which is a nice place to visit, but we don't necessarily need to live there. That we forget sometimes to inhabit our bodies, to breathe, amidst the sorrow and the pain of the world that takes our breath away, even amidst the joys that carry us away in a good way. Sometimes when we pause to breathe into that space, then we're deeply connected to those joys, to those celebrations. And it's okay to connect even deeply to our pain. We all begin our lives with that breath. And in the end, it is the last breath we release, and then that breath makes us ancestors for those who will come. There's a song by Alicia Carpenter called Just as Long as I Have Breath. You can imagine that when I encountered Unitarian Universalism about almost 40 years ago, that when I came to this song, it sang me. And so as we consider generosity, as we consider being mindful and aware and saying yes to life, to love, to truth, I invite us to sing this. You can remain seated and just sing with me. Just as long as I have breath,
Our reading is When Giving is All We Have by Albert Rios. One river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because no one gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big though small, diamond in wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is, first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, and I gave you yellow. Together, we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together, we made something greater from the difference. Thus ends the reading.
Thank you, Linda. So, we heard a story of generosity at Joys and Sorrows, a flat tire and people to the rescue. Someone to lend a hand and a jack and the support that we need when we're caught off guard. Many years ago, after I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was home for a visit. And we went to visit my Auntie Sarah, who's not my aunt, but a long time friend of my mother's. And we were visiting her, and she made us some tea. And she had the cutest little teapot. It's just one for a single cup of tea. And I commented on it. I said, that's so cute. And she said, here, take it. She didn't think about it. She didn't think, man, I really like this teapot. I wonder if I should give it to her. She is going through a hard time. Maybe I should. If she had that thought process, it happened so quickly but I had to assume, and knowing my Auntie Sarah, who's not my aunt, that this is the spirit of her, a spirit of generosity. Just here, take it. With no fanfare, just here. That is many years ago. And I have that little black teapot right where I can see it every day. Sometimes it's on the counter. Sometimes it's in the cupboard that I open when I go to get my cup for tea. Sometimes I use it. Sometimes I don't. But it's there, a reminder of, here, take it. Generosity. It would be easy to say that generosity is just niceness. Not that it's not nice to be nice. But generosity is transformative. The folks who do our monthly theme of the gift of generosity for this month said that it doesn't just brighten our days, it changes how we relate to life. Generosity is a practice. It's a spiritual practice. Sometimes we equate generosity with, a certain type of giving. In fact, if you do a Google search for generosity, often what you find, especially if you're like Googling Google Images, and you find links to charitable giving. And that's a good thing. We like charitable giving. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's good to be generous in that way. It's helpful to be generous in that way. But generosity, I think of in three kind of phases. And generosity to ourselves, generosity to others, those nearer, and then a generosity to our world. And in a time of zero-sum game, if you give to me, then I have to think about what I need to give to you. My downstairs neighbor is one of the most spontaneously generous people I know. I moved in, she brought me brownies. I was when I was in long COVID, getting my groceries up, or any packages that will come. Her kids are helping me. Now, even though I can actually carry the packages that come from Amazon almost every day, I open my door and my packages are at my door. She or her children bring those packages up every day. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I need to do something for Heather. I need to do something for her. We had shelves delivered from my office, big bookshelves from IKEA. And they left them right outside the vestibule door. Across the way, we have another building for our offices and religious education. And they just left these big boxes. And there wasn't anyone able to help because some folks had been injured, no worries about that. I thought, well, how am I going to get them? So I texted Heather. They were at the pool. She and her boys came, and her son, Charlie, who loves to help, just all he had to do was pick them up and bring them in. And I said, but what can I do for you? And he's like, nothing, nothing, nothing. He truly did not want a thing back. There must be this generosity germ in the water in their home. So in a world that says if you get, you need to give, generosity, and not that that's bad, but generosity invites us into the practice of receiving. Generosity is about connection. It's about care. It's about being able to say thank you and yes. And yes, even to be the recipient of generosity means that we believe we deserve it. And where it feels uncomfortable, it's an opportunity to examine that and say, do I really deserve it? And then make that a practice. Just breathe into that. The generosity undermines, the slow matter, Scott Taylor writes, undermines our comfortable views and invites justice in. It doesn't just ask us to be kind to others. It also asks us to ask why some have so much more than others. So it transforms, it connects, it challenges. And those aren't words that we would generally pair with generosity, and maybe that's the point he says. Maybe the invitation is to not just think about more generosity and how we can be more generous, but notice how generosity is bigger than we are. How in giving it takes on a bigness, a life of its own, and it creates an energy of flow and connection and allows us to see where there is a need. Philip Moffat told a story about receiving. In the Buddhist tradition, he's a Buddhist, it's called dana, and it's receiving generosity. And he was a teenager living in the Appalachian Mountains, and he worked as a bag boy in the local supermarket. He says that it was a working poor area, and in that area, it was mostly poor folks who were likely to give tips. And they often, he said, seemed more needy than he was. He would either refuse the tip. Sometimes he'd slip the money back into one of the bags as he put them in the car. And he felt quite proud of this, he writes, until one rainy Christmas Eve when a man wearing a cheap, worn-out clothes and driving a beat-up old car filled with lots of things insisted on giving him a large tip. Moffat said he was embarrassed at the idea of taking the money and refused. And the man looked him straight into the eye and said, "This is something I can do for you. It's my Christmas." Moffat writes, "Suddenly I got it. The tips were not about me. They were about the giver, about his values and his life. Unconsciously, I believed that I had the right to decide the appropriateness of another's generosity when directed toward me." Such arrogance, he writes. He accepted the money and deeply thanked him. Generosity as a practice gives us the opportunity to live with an open heart, to live open-heartedly, to see, know, feel compassion. There's a sense in which generosity links with compassion, links with care, links with empathy, and then links with action. Even if the action is, from you I receive, to you I give, and together we share, and from this we live. So when we allow ourselves to receive generosity, there is a sense in which, as Moffat's story tells us, it's also a gift to the person who is the giver, who wants to be generous spontaneously. My neighbor, Heather, does not want me to necessarily give money or things to her kids. Charlie just be like, do you need help? And then he wants to help. For some of us, that generosity comes easily. For some of us, we cultivate it. Sometimes there's that thing that we want to give, and we're like, oh, I really want to give this, but I'll miss it, right? Or maybe that was just me that happens to. And then we give. I don't want to make any caveats about that. If you have like a little hesitation, like, oh, that's okay. That's fine. Then we can just say, I'm giving you something, you're giving from the heart, even if it's something that's valuable to you and that you might miss. We don't do it as a martyr. We don't do it to be noticed. We do it because there's a feeling that we have for one another. Fellow feeling, it's been called. Feeling with other beings, other creatures. So once we're able to receive, and we consider what generosity looks like in our congregations, what generosity looks like with others in our lives. Right now, the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations is in a process of looking at our bylaws, which sounds like a very boring thing if you're new. It's like, now she's going to talk about bylaws, but they are actually very exciting because it's the place where we talk about our values. So we have our Unitarian Universalist values written in to who it says we are, that we covenant to affirm and promote. And what we're looking at now is grounding this section of our bylaws in our values with love at the center. And what you're going to find for the rest of the year is each month we're going to look at one of those values. And one of those values is generosity. And the way that this proposal is written is we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. Now, how does that sound? Do we want to cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope in our congregations and in the world and our dealings with others? And then, after each of the values, there is a covenant. There's an agreement. There's a way for us to understand how we can live this. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. And I think that's the thing that generosity in this case really lifts up. It lifts up this understanding that this is about our mutuality. This is about our interdependence. This is about how we connect with one another and how we take that into our congregational lives. So generosity looks various ways in our congregations. I mentioned our breakfast this morning, helping someone with a flat tire. It looks like giving to the congregation. It looks like also taking who we are. See, the thing I like about this is it says we share our faith and we share our presence. Sharing our faith with one another, sharing what brought us, what keeps us, how we live the values that deeply, deeply call us into community and how we share that with the wider world and with our presence. Have you ever thought that your presence is an act of generosity? Have you ever shown up at someone's bedside when they're ill? Have you ever and just known that your presence, whether you say a word, is a gift? That your presence here, welcoming our children, grounding them in their faith, learning together, sharing together, is a gift of generosity, just being. But you have to know that you are worthwhile and you are valuable in your very presence and in your very being. There's a generosity of spirit that seems to flow. And for me, it works as recognizing my interdependence, recognizing the love that coaxed us into being, that moves in and through us, the love and the mystery in which you are all held always, evokes in me a desire to give, invokes in me an open heart. So as I came across a prayer by a colleague that I want to share with you, I love how she names some of the challenges that we face in generosity, and then how we might live in a generous way. We bruise so easily, dwelling on a planet that's dying from our actions and inactions, witnessing war from a distance that should afford us safety but does not, neither for our hearts nor for all of our bodies. Adjusting still to lives completely reconfigured by a pandemic, living with uncertainties and dangers of a government unwilling or unable to govern. Our psyches are fragile, our nerves are frayed, our immune system's weakened, our doubts magnified, our prejudices, opinions, and conclusions barely contained, our defenses both battered and reinforced, our best selves can be hard to access, slighted by others, slighting others without intention, without understanding, bruised and in need of healing, bruising and in need of forgiveness. Let us become now still and return to stillness often. Slow our breath, slow our speaking, slow our reactions. In this space, thus we give of ourselves and to one another. May we feel calm descending, hear hope whispering, sense the germination of peace. Come at last, if only for a moment, into the fullness of our best selves and the expansiveness of our love for those with whom we share our lives. What might it be like to live through that last part? To feel a calm descending, to hear hope. Where do you hear hope? To hear it whispering, even if it's not shouting. To sense the germination of peace, and to come at last into the fullness of our best selves and the expansiveness for our love for those with whom we share our lives. And we share our lives with one another, with those near, and also with those far. This is a call to move out of our enclosed selves and open to the best selves, the selves that are grounded in love and living the values of generosity. A colleague of mine, Jane Reska, told a story about a woman who was on a New York subway train. The train was totally crowded, and there was a lot of hustle trying to get out, people trying to get in. And as the woman left the train car, she realized that she only had one glove, and she looked back and saw her other glove on the seat. And she took the glove in her hand and tossed it into the car, into the seat next to her. She just flung it out and left it there as a gift. The gesture It was one at once of having enough, of generosity, and a spontaneous way of saying yes. From you I receive, to you I give. Generosity is about being a blessing to the world. We have generosity for ourselves, for others, and for that world that clamors in our heads and on our TV that makes us all the ways that my colleague spoke about in that prayer and in that meditation. And then we're asked to be a blessing for the world. How would you choose to bless the world? What are the ways that you live out that spirit of generosity? What I invite us to do for this month, a whole month of generosity, then we're on to something else. No, really. We could be generous all month, and then we could continue it, but engage and deepen in another theme. But I would invite you this month to notice generosity, to just notice it. Journal about it. I think this is the second week in a row I gave you assignments to journal. I don't know how many of you are journaling from last week, but write about it, pray about it. Notice where you feel generosity rising up in you. Equally as important, notice where you see it around you. Notice where you see it in the grocery store. Notice when you see it on the freeway and somebody actually lets you in, or you see someone letting someone else in. See where generosity is exposing the human capacity and desire for connection, for love, to live in ways that uplift the human spirit, that allow us to be fully who we are called to be, which, beloveds, I do believe are agents of love in this world. Not necessarily a sentimental love, although there's nothing wrong with that, but a love that allows us to deeply know our interdependence. Psychologist, psychiatrist, Dr. Dan Siegel talks about what he calls intra-connection. We talk about interconnection. And this came to him when he was trying to describe the reality of how deeply we're embedded with one another in this web of life. Whether you think of it as Indra's net or the web of existence, that we interconnected is between us, intra-connected is within us. The withinness of each of us connected each to each. And that awareness brings us to that deep sense of generosity. So, if you'll look for places where you see generosity and experience it, and want to shoot me an email, minister@hinsdaleunitarian.org, or let me know how that's manifesting in your lives. I would love to see how we go through the month of generosity, which is, of course, obviously, this is the time of Thanksgiving. This is the time when we think about being generous as we move into the holidays that celebrate generosity and love. Let's do that, shall we? Let's live from that place of deep connection, deep love, and always deep intra-connection and generosity. May it be so. May it be so. I invite you to join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of its light, of its commitment. These we carry in our hearts until with all the world. So that light is out, right? But we have another light, don't we? The light that we contain within us, and I think you can anticipate what's coming. Stand and sing with me. makers of peace. Amen. Salem, shalom, shanti, shanti, shanti.
Jamie, did you write that?
Yeah, right, I wish I had.